Let's talk about the Castlevania series on Netflix. So this video will contain spoilers, but before I get into it, I want to say that the show is worth watching, definitely worth watching. If you enjoy fantasy stories, the game series, or anime, check it out. So there you go, that's the quick and dirty version of it. Now here's the spoilers. So let's start with episode 1. So episode 1 focuses on setting up the reason for the conflict of the show and motivation for our villain as to why he unleashed all these monsters. Dracula is visited by a woman who is very much interested in science and her quest for learning. I already really liked the show from the first few minutes, and I started getting attached to these characters. I wanted to know more. Lisa is immediately likable as she just wants to learn and grow her own knowledge and really get in depth into her field. And what I like too is she has a short conversation with Dracula, but in that brief conversation you can see how she's bringing out the humanity in him. Following the introduction, then the show jumps in time and Lisa is burned at the stake for witchcraft because she became a science and science is wrong, so yeah, they burned her for that. And Dracula was off on an adventure, and it's implied that he was adventuring as a human, not using his powers. So from this small bit, we get a glimpse that Lisa had such an effect on him that Dracula really embraced his humanity. But sadly, when Dracula returns, he arrives too late, and Lisa is killed. And he wants revenge, and he goes a bit overboard on this. He's pretty much like, yeah, you guys got a year and you should move, get your stuff in order. If not, I'm just gonna rain hell in this area. So I warned you, but hey. And that bit's really cool when that happens, when he warns the village. That was just really awesome. He goes complete badass at this point, and it's some really cool fire effects that are going on. And there's even at one point where his face just goes just full on demon. But what's good about the stuff with Dracula and Lisa that deals with this is for us as the audience, we understand his rage. And it turns Dracula into a bit of a tragic character. The visuals are also really great here too, like I talked about with the fire part, but also too, when he first learns about her dying, and you can see that he's also enraged and sad about this at the same time. He doesn't have regular tears, nuh-uh. When Dracula cries, he cries blood. Now, I know the show is only 4 episodes long, and they're 25 minutes apiece, so the creators have a limited period of time to set up the conflict and the characters and get the adventure going. I do hope Lisa's time with Dracula is fully explored and say meaningful flashbacks in future seasons, because I feel like she already plays an important role in his life and in what he's doing now. I think it would be really neat to see that human side of Dracula as we're also seeing him as the murderous vampire. I think it would be neat to explore the duality in him. Overall, I would say episode 1 did a good job of setting things up without hitting us over the head with loads of exposition. It totally could have done this. Many series have done this before where they're trying to get you into a new world. Instead of just letting us enjoy the adventure and we'll learn as we go, they we'll just sit and we'll read a book for a while and we'll just tell you things instead of showing them, hey. But what I like here is they just throw you right into it and you're experiencing it. You're living it already. You're not being told it. And I really like how they did that. It gets you right into the narrative. So the end of the first episode, it ends with the audience getting a brief look at our hero that we want to follow for the rest of the season, Trevor Belmont. And now episode 2 spends time developing Trevor and setting up the task he needs to complete. Episode 1 was, well, very sad and bleak, which fit the tone of the backstory. I do like that episode 2, at least in the beginning, it has a bit of a lighter tone to it. Still dark, but there's some jokes thrown in. We learn a bit more about the Belmont family and Trevor, and that he's a complete drunk right away. There's a pretty good fight that takes place in the bar, and some of the lines that are said here are really funny. A bunch of the guys keep hitting him right in the nads, and what he says for that, it's priceless. And that's something that I wasn't expecting from Trevor or the series. Castlevania is definitely a very dark kind of game, especially going at when you're killing the monster. I've only played a few of the games. I haven't played all of them. But the ones I've played, it's not like it's a happy-go-lucky kind of tale. I do like that they break up the darker moments with some of this comedy there, and I do enjoy that in Trevor with his personality. Now, following the bar bit, Trevor later rescues a speaker, and they're kind of like priest-ishes. They're priest-esque. And we get to see some of the Castlevania whip action here. The whip stuff was really violent and awesome, and yet again, Trevor was delivering some really good lines with that. I mean, the whip even takes out an eyeball. That was pretty cool. So we get some more world building and situation building here, and then eventually Trevor agrees to go rescue this speaker's grandchild. And what I like about Trevor, and we get quite a bit out of him just by how he acts in episode 2, in that, so he says that he doesn't want to help people. He doesn't care about other people. He doesn't want to help. But his actions represent that he is a hero and he is someone who does want to help and he doesn't want to see bad things happen. So I really like this, that he's trying to present a certain side to himself, but it's almost as if he can't help himself to then help other people. So he's immediately a likable, reluctant hero. So episode 3 continues Trevor's journey, and it starts out with a really good fight with a Cyclops. Like, this is a really entertaining fight. And I really like this thing. It's cool looking, and it starts blasting out these beams out of its eyes as if it's like a beam coming out of Godzilla's mouth. And how Trevor kills this thing? Oh, completely badass. This guy's just awesome. So the grandchild is revealed to be a granddaughter, and more on her in a bit. Following the rescue, we get some more time with the bishop, and the voice actor does a great job with him. He plays him to his supreme douchiness. Like, whenever this guy starts talking, you can't help but want to go up to your television screen and just smack him. But if you're watching on your phone, don't smack your phone away because you might break your phone. So the church, they're going after the speakers, and the bishop is basically using religion to be able to feed his own gain to be able to get ultimate power. So he's not a nice person. Trevor gets some more hilarious one-liners, and I like that the show is maintaining its good sense of humor. The ending of it is also pretty epic for this episode. You got Trevor kicking some ass, and you get to learn a little bit more about his family, and it ends in a cliffhanger. And you immediately want to go right into the next one. So with the final episode, Sir Douchington gets eaten right away at the beginning of the episode. Well, I don't know about eaten. They don't really show what happens to him, but he's probably dead. A monster comes in and basically gives him a big old grandma kiss, and well, he just couldn't handle the love. And then we learn that the granddaughter is actually a magician, and she's pretty badass. So what's cool in episode 4 is we get to see Trevor leading a defense of the town, and the action is really good. So you see Trevor kind of uniting the town, and then you get more whip action. And then with the magician, what's cool is we get some really awesome magic, because we didn't really see any of this yet in the show. So we get some more whip action, and then we get to see some cool ice magic and fire magic. I really like this. Towards the end of the episode, our heroes meet Alucard, Dracula's son, and he has such fabulous hair. And there's a pretty good fight scene between Trevor and Alucard. And following the fight scene, Alucard just is like, yeah, I was just trying to test your skills, and there's a prophecy, so the three of us need to team up and we need to take down Dracula. They walk out of frame, or well, I should say they walk right at you at the audience, and it ends and it's badass. So I will say, overall, this first season, it's thoroughly engaging. I wish there were more episodes because I found myself getting more and more sucked into the show as it kept progressing. At the same time, I do like that this first season effectively gives us some good character development, world building, and establishes a main conflict for us to focus on. I do hope that the second season switches between our three heroes and Dracula. I do hope that they use flashbacks to flesh out more of the characters' backstories, and I'd like to see more interaction between Alucard and Dracula, because daddy issues. I'd also like to see some of the stuff that deals with the Belmont's excommunication from the church, and I would love to see more scenes between Dracula and Lisa together, because I feel like there's some really good heart there. There's really a lot that they could do with the second season. Now, I will also say this too, is that there's some good talent behind the voice acting, and I feel like that's very important to have good voice actors in your animes like this. And they need to be able to fit the scenes and be able to deliver really good dialogue, and Hollywood actors sometimes just won't cut it. You gotta have people that are experienced in voice acting. That's a different skill set. You know, when you're voice acting, if you're recording in, say, a booth, you got to do a lot of imagination. You got to be able to kind of do that play kind of stuff, be able to dream that stuff up. So with that, I think Graham McTavish is a great pick for Dracula. He's a very distinct voice. I loved him immediately as Dracula, and he has experience in the field with doing voices. I mean, he's in Uncharted. He's Charlie Cutter, and he's Lazarevich in Uncharted 2. Drake! Now, Trevor is voiced by Richard Armitage, Richard Arm. He's Thorin Oakenshield from the Hobbit trilogy. And what's nice is it's a very subtle, darkly sarcastic tone to how he talks and delivers a lot of his lines that really brings out that good humor throughout the show. And quite frankly, it breathes some really good life into the Trevor character. He's already interesting, but I feel like the voice actor they chose for him, good job on that. So those are my thoughts on the show. If you haven't checked out the show, I'd say it's really worth it. Even if you're not into anime, give it a try. It's only 4 episodes, 25 minutes each. You'd have most of the season done before you finish your morning dump. Check it out. And I want to say thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe. And I'll see you next time.